Welcome into the Buck James Show. Michael Westbrook along with head coach Buck James, brought to you by Bryant Family Pharmacy. And here we are yet again, Coach, and yet another win for the Bryant Hornets last week. The big game against Cabot. It was that 1-2 matchup, kind of the heavyweight battle that we expected. And then late in the game, Bryant does what Bryant does, finds a way to get a score, a defensive stop, and another score. And the game can really change in a matter of 4 or 5 minutes. That's what happened. Bryant won 24-10 over Cabot, and Coach, everything from the crowd to the media that was there to just the energy in the stands. It was a big-time high school football game.
It was a college-type atmosphere, great high school atmosphere. You know, we had all four of the local television stations. The crowd got there early. It was exciting. It was a very tough physical game, and we found a way to win in the last 5 minutes. I'm very proud of our kids, the way they played and the way they performed and the way they carried themselves. But I think it was a great night for Bryant football. I think it was a great night for Central Arkansas, and it was a lot of fun to coach in, and I know our kids had a lot of fun playing in the game.
Yeah, Coach Sam Pittman, the Razorback head coach, was even there. I know he's looking at some of our guys and probably some players from Cabot as well. And this game was really won on the defensive side of the football, if you ask me. Ivory Gilmore, TJ Lindsey, that whole defensive front line just really played well. And I think Abe Owen, the quarterback from Cabot, was sacked 4 times in the game. So talk about your defensive line and how they set the tone.
Well, I think our defensive line played their best game of the year, no doubt, and that we needed them to. Anybody who knows football knows that defense wins championships, and I felt like our defense really rose to the occasion and played well, and our offense had timely execution and be able to score some points, and we're able to really cut the rope off there late in the game with that big pass that Jordan threw to Tricky. And I think it's, it was a kind of football game that you see in big-time football games. It was a great defensive effort. It was, you had great offensive plays, but I like the way our kids held in there and they played hard, and it was back and forth, and then our kids found a way to win it, and that's what championship caliber teams do.
Well, when you talk about holding in there, the goal line stand that led to a field goal for Cabot, I mean, that right there was huge, because if they score there, they go ahead. Instead, you hold them to the field goal, keep the game, tied, at least manageable there. Talk about that kind of series and how important that was.
Well, I think that's probably the kind of series that defines your program. Our kids got in there and fought tough, and hard to stop a big, strong offensive line, a big quarterback and big running back like Cabot has, but they rose to the occasion. It was a great goal line stand. It's probably a play that you can talk about, in years to come, the Bryant-Cabot game and how they were able to do it. And I remember hearing years ago about the the Conway-Bryant game, and Bryant did the same thing against that Conway team that year. I think they had Peyton Hillis on that team, and you hear about all the things that went on with that. But I think Bryant had a big game against Little Rock Central and broke a big win streak, and there was a big defensive stand that. So this will go up in Bryant history as one of the greatest defensive efforts that probably ever been played at this stadium, and it'll definitely be in the top talk of the last 3 or 4 that have ever been played here. And I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud of the opportunity that they presented themselves, and then we're able to go through with it.
For those watching, we record this on Thursday, so the Cabot game almost a week, and I know you've been focused on North Little Rock, and it is fun for me to go back and think about last week's game, but I know you have had your attention on the Charging Wildcats for several days now, perhaps even all season long for that matter, because it's a team that we play typically twice a year over the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years, and potentially could see them again in the playoffs. Now, I don't know how to describe them. Maybe they're not having the year that they've had in past, but they still are a very good team, and they're right in the thick of things as well.
They're right in the middle of it. And, everything has to go through North Little Rock. It has for the last 7 years I've been here. North Little Rock is a big game, and you're right. By Thursday I forgot about what we did, and I'm more concentrated and focused on what we're going to do. But North Little Rock has a very talented football team, and they're not still without athletes. They've got great athletes. They've won their last 4 in a row, I think. They've got probably as good a defensive line as they've ever had there. Their front 7 is very, very potent. They have a quarterback back from last year. The running backs are back. They've got a receiver that can play for anybody, and they have a big offensive line. And I'll say this probably till the end of my coaching career here at Bryant, but everything always goes through North Little Rock. They're the most athletic football team that we'll play year in and year out. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. You have to be very physical. Cabot is playing that kind of football now, and Conway's playing that kind of football, and it's just ironic that we have all three of those as our last three games. And we're going to have to be able to play. This week is just as big as last week as far as what we're trying to get done and where it takes us in the playoffs and winning a conference championship. And this is a game that we cannot overlook. This is a game that's you throw scores out, we're going to get the best North Little Rock, and we're going to see a very good football team on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. You are in North Little Rock, and then, of course, Conway next week. And it's just become that way the last several years where Bryant is involved in the 7A game of the week, basically, the last several weeks of the season because of the schedule. So if you had to pick one thing you've got to stop or slow down about North Little Rock, what would that be?
Well, their offense. On their offense, their quarterback is the key to the monster, and he's the guy that makes it go. And their running backs are very talented. They've got, like I said earlier, they have a great receiver. We've got to be able to stop the run. I think that's always the main objective when you play a North Little Rock team is stop the run. If we can stop the run and make them one-dimensional, that gives us a chance. And they're capable of throwing the ball all over the yard, but we've got to go out there and stop the run and make sure that we can get off the field on third down.
And then from our standpoint, offensively, Jordan Walker, what does he have to do? And maybe if Gideon Moats is in there, he played last week as well. What do those two guys have to do to control the tempo and to lead our offense?
Well, we got to make the field 50 yards wide and 50 yards deep. I think that's the key against this team. And you're not going to be able to just run it and make a living. We've got to be able to run the football, and running football is where we start from. But we've got to make the field 50 yards wide and 50 yards deep, and we've got to be able to throw the football. We've got to get on the corners, and we've got to make their defensive linemen run and make tackles out of their space. And if we can do those things, we have a chance to move the football and be successful with them. Not many people have been able to do that this year against them. They've been very dominant on defense, and our offense has a big challenge in front of them Friday night.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all the questions I have for you, and good luck.
Hey, thanks.
We got plenty more to come on our pregame show. Kickoff right around the corner. It is Bryant and North Little Rock. It's the second to last game of the regular season. Stay with us. This is Bryant Hornet Football.